Good afternoon, New London, and welcome to our holiday episode. I'm Catherine McAllister.
And I'm Jenna Hummel. Hey, Catherine, did you know the average Christmas tree takes about 7 years to grow to a typical height of 6 to 7 feet?
That means if you're in 5th grade this year, the perfect tree planted this year will be ready when you're a senior in high school. That's crazy to think about.
We have a great episode with a look back at the middle and high school band and choir concerts. We see what's hot and what's not for holiday gifts this year, and a special story time, all coming to you right after this.
Did you know that there are a total of 364 gifts in the 12 days of Christmas? Just think about it. 12 drummers drumming, 11 pipers piping, 10 lords a leaping,
9 dancing ladies, 8 maids a milking, 7 swans a swimming, 6 geese a laying, 5
golden rings, 4 calling birds, 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves,
and a partridge in a pear tree. Those are quite the gifts. Stay tuned to find out how much all of those would cost. Speaking of gifts, Maddie Kirshner was able to see what's hot and what's not for gifts this year.
When shopping for Christmas, there are a lot of gifts you can get someone. Just stay away from the novelty gifts, like a toaster that plugs into your computer, a pencil pouch that you might want to eat, astronaut food, a $2 box of mustaches, keychains, an apron with too many pockets, or even chocolate coal. Families love to get together and play games. Just don't go buy another game of Monopoly. There's over 300 out there. You should get the top game, Cards Against Humanity. The best movies to give are Inside Out and Jurassic Park. They are way better than anything as personalized. Who needs another mug? A quadcopter with the camera is entertainment for all ages. Chia pets are so boring. Who would rather watch grass grow than be a pilot and fly around spying on your neighbors? Don't buy a calendar. Nobody uses them. Instead, buy an Amazon Fire. It has a calendar on it. Everybody loves food, but not in a wicker basket and under the tree. For a pricey gift, go out and buy an Amazon Echo. It connects fast and sounds great. Holiday-themed gifts like ugly sweaters are fun, but buy them what they really want. Get Fallout 4, this year's top game. This has been Maddie Kirshner with Hot or Not Gifts of the Year. And remember, Tiger TV watchers, buy them what they want, not something they don't.
Thanks, Maddie. I can't wait to see what I get this year.
It's a lot of gifts that end up being expensive. In 1984, it would have cost $12,673.
But if you were to go out and buy all the gifts today, it would be roughly $34,000.
That's absurd. Last week, the choir and band performed their holiday concerts that they had worked on. Let's take a look.
This is Ashley Smythe, and I'm bringing you the latest on the recent band and choir concerts. Corey Byrne directed the junior varsity and varsity choirs, along with a select group of carolers. My favorite thing about being in choir is singing with my friends. Both concerts featured a nice selection of traditional Christmas carols and a variety of arrangements.
My favorite thing about band is the music that Mr. Anderson picks because it's pretty easy to play.
The 5th, 6th, middle, and high school bands are directed by Arnie Anderson.
My favorite thing about band is that I get to play the drum set a lot on some of the songs.
This has been Ashley Smythe reporting for Tiger Television.
Hey, Catherine, did you know that Rudolph was actually created by the department store Montgomery Ward as a marketing gimmick to sell coloring books?
I didn't know that. Can you name all 9 reindeer?
Oh, okay. Connor, Blitzen, Dancer.
Donner, Dancer, Cupid, Blitzen, Rudolph, Dasher.
Vixen? Did you
Yes,
say that?
Vixen. I don't know. I think that's 9 maybe.
Okay. Merry Christmas from all of us at Tiger TV. We have lots more for you, so stay tuned right after this for story time with Mr. Garvey.
Really, guys? Again? Yeah, Caught my Krampus by a yearbook.
Hello everyone and welcome to Storytime with Mr. Garvey. Today I will be reading How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Enjoy. Every Who down in Whoville liked Christmas a lot, but the Grinch who lived just north of Whoville did not. The Grinch hated Christmas the whole Christmas season. Now please don't ask why, no one quite knows the reason. It could be his head wasn't screwed on just right. It could be, perhaps, that his shoes were too tight. But I think that the most likely reason of all have been his heart was 2 sizes too small. But whatever the reason, his heart or his shoes, he stood there on Christmas Eve hating the Whos, staring down from his cave with a sour, grinchy frown at the warm lighted windows below in the town. For he knew every Who down in Whoville beneath was busy now hanging a mistletoe wreath. And they're hanging their stockings, he snarled with a sneer. Tomorrow is Christmas, it's practically here. Then he growled with his grinchy fingers nervously drumming. I must find a way to stop Christmas from coming. For tomorrow, he knew, all the Who girl and boys would wake bright and early, they'd rush for their toys, and then, oh the noise, noise, noise. And that's one thing he hated, the noise. Then the Whos, young and old, would sit down to a feast, and they'd feast, and they'd feast, and they'd feast. They would feast on Who pudding and rare Who roast beast, which was something the Grinch couldn't stand in the least. And then they'd do something he liked least of all. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, would stand close together with Christmas bells ringing. They'd stand hand in hand, and the Whos would start singing. They'd sing, and they'd sing, and they'd sing. And the more the Grinch thought of the Who Christmas sing, the more the Grinch thought, I must stop the whole thing. Why, for 53 years I've put up with it now. I must stop this Christmas from coming, but how? Then he got an idea. An awful idea. The Grinch got a wonderful, awful idea. I know just what to do, the Grinch laughed in his throat, and he made a quick Santa Claus hat and a coat. And he chuckled and clucked, what a Grinchy trick. With this coat and this hat, I look just like St. Nick. All I need is a reindeer. The Grinch looked around, but since reindeer are scarce, there were none to be found. Did that stop the old Grinch? No. The Grinch simply said, if I can't find a reindeer, I'll make one instead. So he called his dog Max, then he took some red thread, and he tied a big horn on top of his head. Then he loaded some bags and some old empty sacks on a ramshackle sleigh, and he hitched up old Max. Then the Grinch said, giddy up, and the sleigh started down towards the homes where the Whos lay a snooze in their town. All their windows were dark, quiet snow filled the air. All the Whos were all dreaming sweet dreams without care. Then he came to the first little house on the square. This is stop number 1, the old Grinchy Claus hissed. And he climbed to the roof, empty bags in his fist. Then he slid down the chimney, a rather tight pinch. But if Santa could do it, then so could the Grinch. He got stuck only once for a moment or two. Then he stuck his head out of the fireplace flue, where the little Who stockings all hung in a row. These stockings, he grinned, are the first things to go. Then he slithered and slunk with a smile most unpleasant around the whole room, and he took every present. Pop guns and bicycles, roller skates, drums, checkerboards, tricycles, popcorn and plums. And he stuffed them in bags. The Grinch very nimbly stuffed all the bags one by one up the chimney. Then he slunk to the icebox. He took the Who's feast. He took the Who pudding. He took the roast beast. He cleaned out the icebox as quick as a flash. Why, the Grinch even took their last can of Who hash. Then he stuffed all the food up the chimney with glee. And now, grinned the Grinch, I will stuff up the tree. And the Grinch grabbed the tree and he started to shove. Then he heard the small sound like a coo of a dove. He turned around fast and he saw a small Who, little Cindy Lou Who was not more than 2. The Grinch had been caught by this tiny Who daughter who'd got out of bed for a cup of cold water. She stared at the Grinch and said, Santa Claus, why? Why are you taking our Christmas tree? Why? But you know, that old Grinch was so smart and so slick, he thought up a lie, and he thought it up quick. Why, my sweet little tot, the fake Santa Claus lied. There's a light on this tree that won't light on one side. So I'm taking it home to my workshop, my dear. I'll fix it up there, then I'll bring it back here. And his fib fooled the child. Then he patted her head and got her a drink and sent her to bed. And when Cindy Lou Who went to bed with her cup, he went to the chimney and stuffed the tree up. Then the last thing he took was the log for their fire. Then he went up the chimney himself, the old liar. On their walls he left nothing but hooks and some wire, and the one speck of food that he left in the house was a crumb that was even too small for a mouse. Then he did the same thing to the other Who's houses, leaving crumbs much too small for the other Who's mouses. It was 15:15 dawn, all the Who's still abed, all the Who's still a snooze, when he packed up his sled, packed it up with their presents, the ribbons, the wrappings, the tags, and the tinsel, the trimmings, the trappings. 3,000 feet up the side of Mount Crumpet, he rode with his load to the tip-top to dump it. Pooh-hoo to the Who's, he was grinchiously humming. They're finding out now that no Christmas is coming. They're just waking up, I know what they'll do. Their mouths will hang open a minute or two. The Who's down in Whoville will all cry, boo-hoo. That's a noise, grinned the Grinch, that I must simply hear. So he paused, and the Grinch put his hand to his ear. And he did hear a sound rising over the snow. It started in low, then it started to grow. But the sound wasn't sad. Why, the sound sounded merry. It couldn't be so. But it was merry. Very. He stared down at Whoville. The Grinch popped his eyes. Then he shook. What he saw was a shocking surprise. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, was singing without any presents at all. He hadn't stopped Christmas from coming. It came. Somehow or other, it came just the same. And the Grinch, with his Grinch feet ice cold in the snow, stood puzzling and puzzling. How could it be so? It came without ribbons. It came without tags. It came without packages, boxes, or bags. And he puzzled 3 hours till his puzzler was sore. Then the Grinch thought of something he hadn't before. Maybe Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas, perhaps, means a little bit more. And what happened then? Well, in Whoville, they say that the Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day. And the minute his heart didn't feel quite so tight, he whizzed with his load through the bright morning light. And he brought back the toys and the food for the feast, and he himself, the Grinch, carved the roast beast. We'll see you next time on Tiger Television.